mayor of Beacon, like I said, a city on the move, come up and make his remarks. I thank him very much for your hospitality, sir.
First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone here to this beautiful park that Scenic Hudson has built in our city. And I'd like to thank our assemblyman for being a leader in this fight to stop this Anchorage from happening. When I heard about it, the first thing I did was write a letter to the Coast Guard to make sure that if they were going to have public hearings, that they didn't have them where nobody wanted to drive to. So we wrote them a letter and say, you know, we want one in our area and you're welcome to have it in the city of Beacon, and we'll find a hall big enough for everybody to come. I got a response and they said they got our letter and they'll take that into consideration. The second thing I did is talk to our council, and what we did at our Monday night meeting, just this past Monday, we passed a resolution calling upon the Coast Guard to hold a public meeting in the city of Beacon to discuss the proposed new anchorage ground in the Hudson River between Beacon and Newburgh. And before I read it, I just want people to know, you look out here, and I grew up here all my life. So I've seen what this was. There was a big salt storage place here that they loaded salt off freight onto the ground into trucks to take it everywhere around. Right over there where the red barn was, it was a junkyard. Further down was the city dump. My question to everybody here, what would Pete be saying right now if he was with us? Pete's the one that transformed that city dump, which we call now the Pete Itochi Riverfront Park, into a beautiful park. Pete's the one that started Clearwater to help clean up the river. And I'd like to thank all the organizations that are here, Riverkeeper, Clearwater, Scenic Hudson, and the Sloop Club for the work they do to make sure that the river stays clean and fight anybody that wants to try to impede it. This river, we couldn't swim in because it was damaged. Right now, the Sloop Club and the river pool has a little pool over there that thousands of people come swim every year in free of charge to get wet and get in the water. They're looking to build a bigger pool. This kayak center, recreation that we have, is busy all the time. People enjoying the river. And then the scenic views that you see over here. So these anchorages would really demoralize what was built here by the people that had foresight. And I'd like to give credit to former Mayor Clara Lou Gould and Steve Gould for their leadership through all this. I'm the one that's reaping the benefits, so I'd like to thank them. The resolution reads, whereas the United States Coast Guard is considering establishing new anchorage grounds in the Hudson River from Yonkers, New York to Kingston, New York, as intended, he requested that anchorage grounds may improve navigation safety along extended portion of the river, which currently has no anchorage ground. And whereas the Coast Guard, while considering such role, is seeking comments and information about the operational needs for new anchorage grounds, what form possible regulations should take. Whereas the Coast Guard's notice advises that considering proposing an anchorage ground covering approximately 445 acres for up to 5 vessels to be established as a Newburgh anchorage ground. As everybody knows, going to Newburgh is going to be dead center, the channel of the river. It's not going to be over by Newburgh. It's going to be closer to the middle of the river, closer to our side of the river. Whereas a map is attached to this resolution with statistics, the proposed Hudson River anchorage proposal in such anchorage area would be opposite Dennings Point and Scenic Hudson's Long Dock Park. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Beacon hereby requests that the proposed Newburgh anchorage ground, A, is closer to Beacon and to Newburgh, is the second largest proposed anchorage ground, C, is directly opposite Beacon's waterfront, D, will have a direct impact on the city's viewshed, quality of life, and impact its tourist economy, that the Coast Guard hold a public meeting to be hosted by the City of Beacon and held at City Hall for the purpose of the Coast Guard to explain the proposal and to receive public comment. And be it further resolved, the City Council requests further information to be provided, including but not limited to the following. A, whether in considering adopting proposed rules permitting new anchorage grounds will the Coast Guard comply with the National Environmental Protection Act. B, B, on average, how many ships per year would use such anchorage position? C, on average, how long would a ship be anchored? D, what are the potential impacts associated with the noise from the ship? E, what are the potential impacts associated with the lights on the ship? F, what are the potential impacts to the view shed when considered from all points in the city of Beacon? G, what is the potential economic impact on tourism in the city of Beacon from locating such anchorage points directly opposite the city's waterfront? H, are the proposed anchorage points consistent with the city of Beacon's local waterfront revitalization plan? I, if there's going to be further consideration of these proposed anchorage grounds, the Coast Guard correctly label such grounds by reference to the municipality that borders both sides of the Hudson River, such that the proposed Newburgh anchorage ground will be labeled as Beacon Newburgh anchorage ground, so the public is more fully informed. J, details as to the height, length, and width of the ships that would be expected to anchor at the Beacon Newburgh anchorage ground. K, types of materials that the ships would be hauling that would potentially anchor at the Beacon Newburgh anchorage ground. So we're really asking them to lay everything out so the public will really know what's going on and to have meetings here locally, because a lot of times officials have meetings, they have them in New York, Albany, and people cannot get to them. And yeah, they say they'll take written comments, which we will put on, sent to them. But it's nothing like being in person, in mass, to get what you want. So I want to thank everyone that's here today, especially all the other mayors and supervisors. I got Bob Lacola, the town of Fishkill supervisor. And you know, it's funny because the land under the river, right up to the banks of our land, is the town of Fishkill. So it affects them, and people don't even realize that. And I believe their land runs from the Newburgh Beacon Bridge all the way down to Denny's Point under the river. So that's part of the town of Fishkill. So I want to thank all of my local officials that are supporting this and everybody that came today. Thank you.
Thank you. Keeping the city of Beacon moving in the right direction.
Thank you.